This episode of Southeast Iowa Today is brought to you by Griner Auto Body of Washington, Iowa, using state-of-the-art techniques and decades of experience to get your car back on the road after an accident. Car Doctor of Washington, Iowa. No matter who Frankensteined it, they can fix it, clean it, and customize it. McDonald Boatyard of Keota, Iowa, for all your farm equipment and auto recycling needs. For great food, it's Your Choice Family Restaurant of Wayland, Iowa. Open Tuesday through Sunday. Try the John Bain Sandwich on your next visit. Girling Repair of Winfield, Iowa. If your mower is dead, call Fred, your Husqvarna, Aaron's, and Gravely dealer. Fred also fixes and sells snowblowers. B&B Propane and the family of jet stops. CW Tree Trimming, LLC. We're into your trees, not your wallet. Serving all of Henry County and the surrounding area, and we offer a senior citizen and veteran discount. Dutch Market and Coffee Talk of Washington, Iowa. Dutch Market can handle all of your grocery needs. They even have a conference room that you can use for free. Coffee Talk's drive-thru is open and ready to serve you coffee, energy drinks, sandwiches, baked goods, and ice cream. They all present the award-winning Southeast Iowa Today. Here's the author of Christie's Journey, The Beat Goes On, and your host, John Bain.
Thank you, announcer Cody Roy of NewEnglandDukes.com for your golden pipes and wonderful introduction. It's October 6, 2025, and I'm outside the Jefferson County Courthouse right here in Fairfield, Iowa, where the Jefferson County Board of Supervisors met for their weekly meeting. This is part two of a two-part episode of coverage, and there was a lot on the agenda, including acknowledge of the minutes, meet with courthouse maintenance supervisor, meet with county engineer, discuss and consider City of Fairfield change in speed limit on Walton Lake Road from 45 miles per hour to 35 miles per hour through joint jurisdiction segments, discuss and consider raising speed limit on Pleasant Plain Road from 45 miles per hour to 55 from approximately 200 degrees north of the Pleasant Lake entrance to 167th Street, discuss 110th between Packwood Road and Pekin School, meet with ambulance director, meet with Andy Meter of Liberty Communications regarding grant agreement, discuss and consider resolution hiring Alyssa Vinton as a universal clerk in Jefferson County Treasurer's Office, discuss and consider liquor license for Cedar Valley Winery Incorporated, discuss and consider reduction in county attorney budget, which I've broken up into its own separate episode. That was part one of this. Make committee reports, public comments, allow claims, and approve reports. How's that for a lot on the agenda? Let's get right to it.
Okay, I have 8:30. Calls meeting of the Jefferson County Board of Supervisors to order for Monday, October 6th. And would entertain a motion to acknowledge the minutes, of which there are a couple of pages there. The 29th. Like another one on the 29th. And one on October 2nd.
So moved. Second.
I'm so confused. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you for your participation. Did I see Dave come in? Hey, Dave. What's up?
Okay, looked at the county attorney's office, and I think Steve and I have come up with a plan as far as how to take care of it. The existing floor has to come, the existing deck and the supports all have to come off. It doesn't matter how we handle it.
Okay.
And we believe that the best way to do it is to put concrete in there as opposed to the wood. The wood brings us in on one plane across the whole thing, and we want to try and divert the water away from the entry door,
Okay.
as well as have it run off that area, so that area should automatically dry up. And so to do that, we have to remove everything. We have to put some angle iron around the inside. and then put a steel pad in and then pour concrete on top of that. The tear out should probably take about a day. Getting ready for the concrete will take another day. Pour on the third day. You can walk on it on Thursday. That's the hope. We had thought that perhaps we could just infill the void underneath there, but I dropped the thing down through there this morning, and the grade below that's over 3 feet, and that's just too much to backfill. Because by the time you put a controlled fill in there, it costs you a fortune. So Steve's supposed to have us a bid before the end of the week as far as what he believes it'll cost. We don't think we're gonna find anything that we're unaware of. We have a pretty good plan as to how to handle it. His bid is also going to include, right now that door will not come full shut, and it's to fix that. And then there's 2 places on the ramp where the concrete has to be dug out and some hydraulic cement or something put in there to patch it in, because right now we've got one potential trip and fall hazard on the ramp going up, and then another one down at the bottom. So hopefully next Monday I'll have a cost for you, and we can figure out whether or not we can move forward with it. I asked him, is this something we can get done before winter, and he said yes. So that's not a problem. The basement meeting rooms and second floor bathroom, that work should be complete sometime in the next 2 to 2.5 weeks. So that'll be all done. The south entry, we're gonna try, I talked to Jason last week. We're closed down. I'm not sure about the Secretary of State, but the building itself is pretty well closed down on Tuesday the 11th for, what is it, some holiday, I don't know what it is.
In November.
Yes.
Veterans Day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. So on Veterans Day, so that'd be a good day to do the tear out on the south entry. So that's the week we're shooting for right now. And we'll know a little bit more, hopefully by the end of the week. He wanted to come back out and walk through it one more time with me to make sure that we're both on the same page. The new locking hardware will be the same as what we put on the other, on the north side of the building. We'll get both sides keyed the same. I've got a key count right now somewhere around 40 keys that are gonna be needed to give everybody access back into the building. It should have access. And it probably would be a good idea to write down who's getting a key, so when they leave, we can retrieve those keys. You know, at least that way you know that only the people who have keys can get in the building, and that they're not gonna take them with them for some reason. So anyway, that's where we're at.
Is it possible, once you get the information from Steve, that you can give the county attorney a couple of days heads up so they can rearrange their schedules if they need to?
I will let them know as quickly as possible, but we really have until, I'd say, at least until the 3rd week in November for that, so we still have some time right now.
Okay, for that project over there?
Yes, yes.
Well, I know their schedules, that's what we're looking for, fluctuate or are fluid, but.
Yeah, well, their schedule's just gonna depend on, regular business. They can always use the east entry, and unless they've got somebody coming in that's handicapped, it shouldn't be a problem. And also with this side, if we're able to get one full day in there, with the tear out and everything and get it prepped, that should keep our egress on the south side of the building. We'll get that space back a heck of a lot quicker.
Any questions for Dave?
No.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you.
Dwayne?
Good morning, supervisors. The BNS Railroad is closing down Dutch Boulevard this morning. They'll be setting up a detour for hopefully a week. But most likely at least 2 weeks, if not 3, 4. rehabbing that bridge from where it got hit by a truck last year. Need to redo the concrete, basically protective concrete that is there to keep over height vehicles from hitting the structural steel, so that's kind of a sacrificial concrete beam there. It did what it was supposed to do, it took the hit and stopped whatever vehicle was gonna go through there. The detour for that route is going to be from Four Corners there at Vetchin 200, east to Wintergreen. Excuse me, Vetchin 180, east to Wintergreen, then south to 200, then east to U, then south to 217th on U, and then 217th will tie back into 218, because that has the most navigable crossing in that area, so that they get lower profile or lower clearance vehicles that railroad crossing. The corners are a little tight, but the other options are unclear east on Salina, clear west on Salina, and that's a long ways out of the way. They did, last Friday, they came in and applied dust control in front of all the houses and at the intersections on that route, so it should be good for the 2 or 3 weeks it takes them to get the work done. I went and spoke with the steel recycling facility just to make sure that they were aware of the project. He wasn't sure if they were gonna be open this week or if he was gonna take the week off. Whichever way, he was notified, so, let's see. We had some additional entrance work to do off on Tamarack for that upgrade project. One of the pipes that had been installed years ago had been silted in, so we're a little bit behind schedule. We were hoping to get started on rock work last week. We ended up doing that pipe work, so the rock will get in this week, and hopefully we'll have that all pretty well buttoned up. And other than that, got a bunch of odds and ends. We're doing the edge rut shoulder work on Packwood Road still. Just trying to get rid of that drop off at the edge of the pavement. When we get that done, we'll move on to one of the other roads that needs it. Then we've got pretty much everything ready for submittal to the DOT for grass tree. I've got 2 signatures I need from landowners for easements. And I've talked with them, so we're hoping that'll be done tomorrow, so we can get that project submitted for bid in January. And same thing with the Libertyville Road project. I should have those plans ready for your signature next Monday. And let's see, I think that's about all I got. We had our safety meeting this weekend. We went through one of the NeoGov safety videos on workplace safety culture, just reinforcing to the crew members that safety is part of their responsibility, and notifying management, like me, and also their fellow employees to unsafe conditions, and encouraging them to present ideas for safety if they become aware of an unsafe condition or something that we can be doing better. I was speaking with the safety director at LL Pelling last week because their flaggers had directed a couple of the local residents to drive through the fresh emulsion that was sprayed on the road, and so they had a couple of cleaning claims. But while speaking with their safety director, she had told me that they had an employee struck by a dump truck on a job site. And that person could very possibly lose their leg.
Oh my.
So I wanted to share that with the crew and, remind them that, even even though, you know, equipment has backup alarms, when you get busy, it's very easy to become distracted and think, well, that backup alarm's a long way away from me, when in fact it may not be. You know, there's no substitution for just taking a few extra moments to make yourself aware of your surroundings, no matter how busy or urgent you think your current task is. It's never so urgent that it's worth risking your life.
Yep.
That was our message today.
Question. The Grass Tree Bridge, are the landowners cooperative with you?
The two that we need easements from now, yes.
They are, good enough.
We, had to adjust our work limits a little bit to make things work, and I'm comfortable now.
Sounds good.
So I'm gonna jump down just real quick, there's no reason to, cause it was just discussed, I had a property owner in, tail end of last week. And so I said I'd ask what our plans are for 110th between Peak and Packwood Road.
We are still awaiting formal approval of that grant that they told us last, was it March, when they approved this current fiscal year, or I guess last fiscal year, that the grant was in there, but I have not yet seen paperwork. When I saw this up on the agenda, I emailed Representative Miller's office just on the off chance that somebody had enough time to reply. But as of leaving the office this morning, I had not received a reply on what the status was for that grant. But to my knowledge, those grants, those community improvement grants, had all been approved and signed. But if you remember on the Libertyville Road grant project, it took almost 2 years for the paperwork to get through Washington until we had assurance that we actually did have the money. So I believe from what discussions I've had that all of the members of Congress like these grants. They like the control that it gives them and the ability to help their home district. So I don't anticipate that it would be canceled. With what's going on in Washington, your guess is as good as mine.
So the $64 question is, or at least my $64 question, is for next construction season.
And we'll do what we've been doing. We'll grade the road and dust control it for school. Make it safe for the students.
Are we gonna do anything on 125th and Butternut?
Not in the near future.
Okay.
But again, Butternut from 125th north gets dust control and graded as well for school. And then at some point in the future, we're going to have to spend some money on Butternut to rehab and take care of the joints. But as it stands right now, it's just going to be total patching the worst areas, kind of holding it together with Band-Aids as long as we can.
You mean 125th?
125th, yes, sorry.
No, that's all right.
As you're aware, we have lots of needs and very little resources, so.
Any questions for Dwayne, Cindy?
No.
Number 2, discuss and consider City of Fairfield change in speed limit on Walton Lake Road, 45 to 35 through joint jurisdiction segments. There's a memo in your packet.
The city is requesting doing that. Most of that stretch of road is city. I think it's more more a formality than asking us. I don't see any reason not to lower that speed limit on that stretch. There's a lot. I think there's a lot more residential on there now than there was even a handful of years ago when I came to town. So, to me, it makes sense to make the change.
We just need a motion to approve, correct? We need to do that.
Well, apparently, City of Fairfield already has via their ordinance. I'm looking at this right.
That is their proposed ordinance, but
Okay.
they wanted your blessing, I guess, to do this. And I'm not sure when their next city council meeting is.
Part of it is our road, right, county? It's a little bit-
About 30% of that road is county frontage, the other 2/3 are city. At some point it'll be all city, but it is pretty much all residential. There's one stretch of pasture in there, and there might be one tilled field.
Yeah, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, maybe a year ago, we, on the board, we approved a subdivision split again, a split again for, so there's gonna, I assume gonna be more, housing going in there. So, do we have a motion to approve?
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Discuss and consider raising the speed limit on Pleasant Plain Road from 45 to 55 from approximately 200 feet east of Pleasant Lake entrance to 167th. That's the area that you reduced, right?
Yeah, that's the area we reduced for construction this summer, and the edge lines are going on today, so there's no reason to maintain it at a lower speed limit.
I drove it, it's a very good road, so.
Is that a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve the 55.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Josh?
Good morning. So numbers for September, we had 156 calls for service. Of those, 31 were transfers from JCHC. Collections, for September, 67,723. So on par with pretty much where we have been. Staffing, we do have a medic off through October. Had some medical issues, so she's gonna be gone for at least 4 weeks. So we'll adapt and overcome as we need to on that.
Will be a physical be required before they come back.
No, it shouldn't be. No. Other updates, still working on protocols, policy and procedure updates, just making sure everything's on the up and up there. Still working on the GEMT grant, there's been a bunch of back and forth with that, just, I submit something and they're like, oh, you need to clarify this and that, and whatever, so. The last thing I sent in was on the 1st, so still waiting response for that, make sure everything there is good, but otherwise, I think the deadline for that is November 1st, so we still have a little bit of time left to get that done, so. Other than that, we're just chugging along.
Any peep from the state regarding our,
Training program?
yeah,
No. No, I'm still poking that bear, so.
and Elizabeth, I can't remember, I can't remember when she said she was going to that conference or whatever.
Sometime in October, but I don't remember the dates.
It was relatively soon, I thought, so.
Anyway, I hope that else for Josh?
Not for me.
You may wanna hang around for, I've got something during public comment.
Okay.
Not a problem, it's just, you might wanna be part of the conversation.
Sure.
Okay, number 4, meet with Andy Meter from Liberty Communications regarding grant agreement. I have, your name added copies put in your packet. Did you get that, Susan?
Hi folks.
Morning.
Questions after reviewing the grant agreement? Mr. Ledger, I don't think we've met before. No, I've met.
I just bought it January.
Nice to meet you.
So with this agreement, are you going to be to every resident in the county?
It says to every resident, every address, and then it also calls out that there may be some places that we can't get to. We found a few places where it's more challenging, but we have not turned anyone away.
So what part of the county are you working in? Because I live northwest of Fairfield, I see no activity out my way.
We've just finished constructing a monopole at 1608 Mahogany Avenue. We finished constructing a monopole in Libertyville. And we built fiber backbones to both of those towers as key hub sites. We constructed fiber to the B Street water tower. And in the next 4 weeks, we should be finishing new equipment installs at Grand Lake and Packwood, and one that's southeast of town.
So are we going, is it gonna be coming off like Packard's gonna be wireless to the homes then, or is it gonna be a fiber optics cable?
This technology is wireless from the tower to the home. And then we've invested in fiber as backbones to each of those towers to prepare for future capacity.
I guess I was under the, well, I wasn't on when this was done, I was under the understanding it was gonna be fiber to each home and not wireless. Doesn't sound like what you are talking
And
about.
fiber to each home would be a lot more than this. So to date, in Jefferson County, we've spent $2,325,000. And fiber would be a lot more than that. I think the budgetary number for fiber is typically, I mean, if you're doing it really cheap, probably $8,500 per residence. So the spirit of this agreement was to use the ARPA funds to get broadband out to as many people as you could where fiber couldn't afford to get there.
So, my situation, I'm really not gonna gain anything, cause I've got wireless now from, KCTC, but also, who else is in the area? I guess I'm familiar with them. So I'm not gonna really gain anything by this, am I?
Well, there's a lot of competition.
Yeah.
Customers can get broadband from Starlink, they can get it from their mobile provider, they can get it from KCTC, they can get it from Liberty Communications, some customers can get it from Cloudburst 9. There's a lot of choices.
So, I'm gonna defer quite a bit to Susie, cause she was part of the original, well, I'm sorry, but you know, there may be conversations that you had that I'm not, aware of, but one of the things that I see in this that I haven't heard anybody talk about, it says that you agree to build out a broadband infrastructure network, which it sounds like this is what you're doing, that will cover the county at the physical address level, and it lists the internet speeds with a monthly service rate of $79 and $59 depending upon the speed. Now I know that the APP subsidy has gone away, which is, I mean, that's nothing that you had any control over. And then it talks about In cases where non-standard installation is required and to assure the installation fee, if such non-standard installation is not a barrier to county residents signing up for service, of course it says NATEL, but it says is committed to covering the cost of such installation up to $2,500 per customer, and they agree to set aside funds in the amount of $100,000 for these subsidized non-standard installations, which shall prioritize low-income households that would otherwise be eligible for the ABP. And for NATEL subsidized installations of more than $500, a 3-year service contract is required, meaning that if Susie needed that non-standard installation, she would to be able to access that, she would have to agree to a 3-year contract. So where are we at on that?
We put in about 10 towers for customers at addresses where, you can't get there with the straight coverage. So that's been successful.
You know, it's my understanding that, now, usually the bottom thing you would give would be, what, 100 megabytes? And now you're gonna give that to everybody that signed up for the lower part is now moved up to the 100.
Well, customers
Been told that.
customers can choose which package they want to pay for. And so there's, we follow the pricing in the agreement. But we've also offered higher end services at 500 megabits down and 100 megabits up. So we've tried to, create offerings that fit what different customers might want.
So,
Lee, I know they've been out in my area and they've done a very good job. Put up with all my questions. I've heard a lot of positive comments.
And you put up with some of our early miscommunications. Thank
That's
you.
correct.
Thank you.
But the result is it was worked through and it's working fine.
so you have it, do you?
I do. If you'd like to come out, I can get a ladder and get you up there so you can see it.
Is the one tall enough for me?
Pardon me?
You probably put it 12 feet up off the ground. I'm on to you, Susie. You didn't say no.
Yeah, come on out.
Okay.
I have no issues.
Okay.
I think they've done their job.
And you're part of the county, so you're happy, but what about the northern part of the county? Your Packwood, what's over toward the northeast?
That's served off of Tower in Brighton. And that tower will be coming online in the next couple of weeks.
So, and I understand, that nobody keeps rates forever. But is this, the 79 and the 59, is this something that's, where we can be reasonably sustained for a while?
Well, the reality is prices are going down.
Oh, okay. Somebody
Um,
needs to call Mediacom and tell me that because we're not going that way.
And T-Mobile is buying people's service. So there's competitive challenges for everyone right now.
Yeah, I think when we gave this contract, you have the ARPA funds, of course, we have no control what other companies gonna do. So, we can't be held responsible for that.
No.
And it's up to the individual, like, obviously Joe has an issue with something. And,
Yeah, it's not been in my area, that's why I was asking.
Well, and there at the state level, there's been a lot of confusion, competing grant dollars. In another county where we committed and spent a lot of money, after we did that, the state released overlapping grant dollars that competed with us. So, KCTC deals with this too, competing grant dollars. And it's just the reality of what we deal with. So I guess probably the long game is the consumer's gonna win because there's gonna be multiple local providers. That's probably the long game.
So are you, and this is more for my own personal information, do you limit data?
No, we do not cap usage.
So your speed remains constant?
Depending on how much the customer uses it, but we don't slow it down. Starlink is starting to slow it down when it gets busy, so, we're hoping that'll help us sell more product.
Okay, so let me rephrase my question. So if I exceed a certain data amount, then I pay for the additional data? No?
No,
Okay.
you don't, there's no overage right now.
Well, the reason I asked the question again was the way I asked it, because I misunderstood what you said, because you indicated depending upon how much the customer uses.
How much the customer wants to buy would have been a more, how fast they want the service to
Okay.
go.
Okay. But that speed remains constant?
Correct.
Okay.
We're not adjusting that speed dynamically based on what the customer does.
We're charging for additional data?
Correct.
Okay. Are you at 13 West Jackson?
What's the address?
I'll
Okay.
talk to you a little bit. Anyways, Susie, you seem positive, so is that
Oh, I have no issue with that.
so is that a motion or whatever we need to do to fulfill the agreement? I don't know that we need, I don't know. Let's ask Ed. Ed, we have a contract or a grant agreement, that specifies, well, it was, I don't know, what's it, $774,963.22, of which, the previous board, appropriated upfront $500,000. And there were 2 additional phases to the project. For the remaining $274,963.22. According to Liberty Communications, they have completed those other 2 phases, so we need a motion to approve the final payment.
Okay, I can prepare that for you for your next meeting.
Well, we've got to discuss and consider, so.
You don't.
No, we don't? I'm sorry. My bad.
Just meet.
Yeah.
Just meet with it, and I feel very confident that you've completed the other phases. Because that grant money has to be used before the end of July, before the end of December this year.
Right, the deadline is end of December this year.
Correct.
So I guess what I would like, Susie, if you're in agreement, since you were, an active audience previously regarding the funding, and you kind of took that ball and ran with it after, changing of the guard, so to speak. I would like something from Liberty Communications in writing acknowledging that they did fulfill all the requirements of the grant, because somebody may come back from the federal government later on and want to see something. I don't know whether that would be the case or
We've
not.
got 2 weeks left to finish phase 3.
Right.
And at that time, I can provide a representation if we finished.
Just a letter of certification of
Yeah.
completion of all work required.
Would you be okay with that?
Yeah, of course.
I know your name, your signature's been on a lot of the stuff that's gone to the feds, so.
And I do the annual report as well.
Well, thanks for having me for the update. Any other questions?
So you guys will get, okay.
Yes.
That-
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, folks.
You have a card that I can get a hold of you.
No, but my direct phone number, I can give that to you.
That would be great.
319-627-0223.
0223.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'll talk to you sometime about stuff, so.
What were the last 4 numbers again? I'm sorry.
0223.
223, thank you, sir.
And I've emailed each of you, and the version of the agreement that was working from today.
Okay.
That's great, thank you.
Andy, thank you. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Andy.
Pleasure to meet you.
You too.
Okay, number 5, discuss and consider, oops, sorry, my bad. Discuss and consider resolution hiring Alyssa Benton as a universal clerk in Jefferson County Treasurer's Office. One of our employees is moving to a new location. Is disappointed that she's leaving, but you gotta do what works for you, so hiring a new universal, the treasurer's requested to hire a new universal clerk at the rate of $38,400 per year, effective October 16th.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Yeah. Discuss and consider liquor license for Cedar Valley Winery, Inc.
Just two.
Do we have a motion to approve the?
So moved.
I'll second it.
Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
That would be, out west, right?
Yes.
All right, some committee reports.
I have none.
You don't, but maybe you talk about your flow exercises or something. No? Okay.
No.
I'm a looking here.
Okay.
We had a debrief on the barnyard bash last week and everything looked good. They thought about 1,200 people showed up there and stuff, so it was a good showing. Well, I helped out at the Mazda Barns on Thursday morning. They had the fourth graders here from Cardinal, 90 kids, and they were very well behaved. We showed them different things and our stuff, divided them up into 4 groups, and I think the children all had a great time. That's all I've got.
Speaking of children, I signed up for the career fair on Thursday, November 6th, from 9 to 12. I think it's at the high school. I'll have to verify that. Okay, so real quickly, I got a gentleman here. We had a conversation, a couple of things. One, and I'll do my committee report in a minute. I wanted to thank the sheriff's deputies for picking up the voting equipment
Yes.
on Tuesday.
That's not all they did. They provided security,
Yeah,
and we needed it.
I was gonna say, they had a pretty rough time of it, which I appreciate you guys very much too, and I know Abby does too.
I appreciate Abby.
So, I just wanted to give them cause they didn't get in here till almost 10 o'clock,
10 o'clock when we left.
and so,
It's a very long day.
For you guys.
So, I wanted to bring to the board's attention and put it on next week's agenda to discuss and consider. I don't know what the technical term would be, but call it a party permit, for lack of a better, cause I received lots of phone calls and complaints about the noise this weekend.
I have as well.
Okay, and of course, I don't live down there, and so, couldn't be any worse than noise could be. So, I wondered if we could have the conversation. I don't know what a permit would look like, in terms of, I don't wanna say restrictions, but say covenants or whatever that would be in the permit. That would be, things that would be required. And then I would invite residents, neighbors who live down in that area to come and speak during the process. So are you, if I put them on the agenda to have a conversation? Of course. So, alright, she's got it, okay. So, in that regard, on following, also committee reports, I wanted to bring you guys up to speed as much as I can, which is not much, on Jackson Point. So Keyway Management has been managing Jackson Point basically since its inception. And, it's a convoluted legal nightmare in terms of how how it all came to pass. But anyway, Keyway Management sent out an email to myself and to Chauncey and Elizabeth that they intend to withdraw on October 31st, the end of October. They've dropped the keys off. I've sent a couple of emails over to the county attorney's office as well as to the board members. Both acknowledged, making sure that they were aware that this was happening, and then asking for guidance. I reached out to Iowa Finance Authority. They aren't willing, or haven't been up to this point, willing to give a definitive, yes, we'll forgive the loan in November of 27. I'm thinking if we could get some kind of guarantee that we might be able to reach back out, say for example, the First Resources, who expressed some genuine interest in having the facility, but it was the $787,000 loan that was problematic, which I can completely understand that.
How much did he say?
$787,000 was the original amount. But here's the problem. There is no financial responsibility to any of the board members. The county does not own it. The owner is listed as Jefferson County Progressive Housing Corp., which, depending upon the year, depends on, I'm not sure who the Progressive Housing Corp. is. The loan was made to the Jackson Point Limited Partnership, which actually no longer exists. Because PNC Bank, which was part of the limited partnership, Burns and Burns, which was part of the limited partnership, FIDA, which was part of the limited partnership, they're all gone. They're no longer partners. And Progressive Housing Corp. was the general partner. It is convoluted, to say the least. And unfortunately, it requires concessions, something from like Iowa Finance Authority. And we don't want those folks to lose their home. But right now, 5 of the apartments are not rented, and they're not available to rent. Which leads me to believe, from talking to the young lady that was here the other day, that there needs to be some work done in those apartments. There's about $5,500 worth of sidewalk work that needs to be done. I don't know what other things need to be done, but I know she said that they've been steadily replacing the air conditioning heating units in the rooms, in the units, but they still have a number of them to replace. I have no idea how expensive those are, but I could probably say with certainty they ain't cheap. And so, and we are locked in, I should say we, the rent that Iowa Finance Authority allows to be charged is $500 a month for a single unit apartment for low income. And we also have special needs clients. That was what it was originally built for. But we have 18 units in the building. We don't have a need to the extent we used to have when Optima had people there 24 hours a day overseeing. So the Keyway Management has rented a lot of the units to low income, but don't qualify as special needs, but they qualify under low income, which from Iowa Finance Authority, that is the requirement. Okay, so you're only generating You've got 2 units that draw 600 because they're 2-bedroom units. So you're only generating just a little over $100,000 a year. $6,000 or $4,000 a year for property tax because it is a commercial facility, so you pay property tax. It's not county owned. You know, the maintenance, the upkeep, the water bills, the utility, the electric bills, because in the common areas, Jackson Point pays all of that. Now, the tenants pay their utility bill within their apartment, but the common areas, we have to take care of. Jackson Point does. I just don't know where all this is going. We tried for 2 years to get this, as you're well aware of. Our backs are against the wall here, so I just wanted you to be aware that I also indicated to both Iowa Finance Authority and to the board that I didn't think that we as a board and as a county, we don't have the financial wherewithal to take it on. But I won't say we wouldn't have that discussion. I just don't know that we wanna be landlords and that sort of thing and whatnot, so hopefully I'll hear from Iowa Finance Authority today.
And if you do, could you put on the agenda for next week? Or do
Sure.
we have a meeting next Monday?
Next Monday, next Monday is the 13th. Yeah,
Okay, wasn't sure if it was closed because of Columbus Day.
oh, okay,
But at least if we could discuss.
I don't think Columbus will be here, but
Yeah, it's just federal, isn't it?
It's not us.
Just wishful thinking.
okay, so, we did canvass the election, by the way, and we did not get Carol up till after 8 AM, right?
I
Okay,
did not call her,
so, all your committee reports? Okay, public comments?
Well, I want to comment that, thank you all for being county supervisors. You know, you have so many sticky wickets that you're dealing with.
Here, here.
I appreciate that everybody's willing to fill these positions. There's so many problems that come up and you're all willing to spend time trying to think about it and come up with solutions for all of our community members, so.
Well, Jackson Point is with all of us, it's a deep concern because, those are people's homes. And it was set up originally, the way that it was set, very similar to what, Loud Apartments, the Loud building behind Taco John's. Okay, that's called low income tax credit housing, so LITCH. And so that requires county participation, so we participated in those apartments. Several units around the city used to own Logan Apartments, if you remember, again, low income. And there's several apartment complexes around the city of Fairfield that qualify for that. And what you end up getting, and I'll just use you as an example, so you're the bank. So this bank comes in, they're usually out-of-state banks, or big banks, you know, like PNC Bank, for example. They come in and they facilitate money, usually in terms of several $1 million, to construct or to create. In this case, it was 1.3 million, which was brought in by a bank. And then they get tax credits for a period of years, generally 10 to 15 years. And so they make money on that. So in this case, the bank that facilitated that initially made about $400,000 over a period of about 15 years on the money that they invested in that building through tax credits. Then in this case, Iowa Finance Authority, once the Jackson Point Limited Partnership met all of the requirements, which included county participation, we donated the land, which we purchased from a private entity, and so that had county's involvement in it. Once all of those ingredients were met, then Iowa Finance Authority provided the $787,000 to help facilitate the construction. but it was required to be low income. And at the time, I don't know how many of you remember, but we used to have the county home out on 240th. So that was sold by the county 30 years ago to private entity, and things started changing with the states, with the feds regarding what we term as campus environments. They were beginning to say, we don't like campus environments, we want to have what they call residential care facilities. So for example, right now we have several homes in the city of Fairfield where we have residents living in those homes. Because they don't want them out in the country all by themselves, and not by themselves, but looking like they're being ostracized, if you will. So they wanted to bring them into the community, so hence Jackson Point was built as well for that purpose. Optimay ran it, and when the county had mental health, which we no longer have, it's a state-run operation now, we had what was called a Central Point coordinator, Sandy Stever. She oversaw a lot of those clients that were living there, and so on and so forth. But all of that dynamic has changed. PNC Bank, or the main bank, they're gone now because they got their tax credits out, so they separated. We had to hire an outside attorney to get that done. And as you heard a little bit ago, Keyway Management is leaving, so the limited partnership no longer exists. There was no requirement from Iowa Finance Authority to make the payments, so the face of value of the loan still exists, plus any interest that had accumulated over that period of time. And it's a process by which you get these things built, but it's also, at least as I'm learning, it's fraught with all kind of pitfalls and sticky wickets, as you put it, so, and I don't know, I feel sometimes, not because of, these two are constantly helping, but you feel like you're out on an island sometimes trying to get, because you're dealing with all of these outside entities, and it's not something that we specifically, as a board of supervisors, have control over. So, but the question may come forward whether or not we want to assume control of it. I just don't know yet. I really truly just don't know. So, but I will let you know if I hear from Iowa Finance Authority.
Still in public comments, I'd like to say something. I went on a tirade the other day about the Nazarene Church World 3 election site and all the stuff they had to deal with.
Okay.
And how we as supervisors need to do a better job of taking care of our employees. We have a young lady back here that works there. Abby works there. Abby spent more time that day at the Nazarene Church than she did at her office. Totally disrespected. People need to follow the rules. As I said before, you told me I had to leave the cuss word out. Life is easy, follow the rules.
Yeah. Well, we can bring the jar back.
Abby's got me.
Yeah, nice.
We used to have a cuss jar in here.
And it's full of money.
Like a
I agree.
protective-
Carol, would you like to follow up with any comments? I did call you a young lady. Do you want to talk about Ward 3?
I wasn't the one disrespected, she was.
Pardon?
I wasn't the one disrespected, she
Oh, no.
was. I
I
don't
just,
take that.
I've worked elections for probably 35 years, from poll watcher all the way up to the chair of the precinct. And I've never been frightened until last week. And poor Abby. She made so many trips down to try to help us. At one point, I had somebody yelling at all the three of us. And I was trying to talk to Abby. She heard the yelling and she just came unglued and drove right down to the precinct. Yeah, she might have broken a law or two.
It definitely killed a squirrel.
What?
I definitely killed a squirrel.
You pick him up, take him home,
Nope,
that's roadkill.
no.
We- I had problems with my computer. It kept freezing up. And then my right-hand man went down and ended up in the emergency room.
From all the stress,
No,
no.
he had kidney stone. But, so that took, of the four of us that were working, that took 2 of them. Cause the other one was his wife. She took him to the emergency room. That left us with 2 people. Can't conduct an election with 2 people. And a gal that works elections walked in to vote. And I just begged. She stayed and helped us for the rest of the day. And at 7 o'clock in the evening, she called her husband, who was about the size of Joe, to just be there with us. We were just, there were threatening people, there were 2 people that kept bringing unregistered voters in, and I know it's legal to register the same day, but with the computer down, and the whole day just went berserk. You know, it was a long day, it was crazy, the bin for our scanner wasn't the right bin, so our keys didn't work. So another called Abby, she says, take the scanner out and pull the top off the bin. So at one point I was trying to get into the bin so I could hand stuff out because it was too deep to reach in. It was, if anything could have gone wrong, it did. And then we had the special tension of, we had poll watchers there from 7 o'clock till 8 o'clock at night for an election that was unnecessary. Well, it was necessary because of the runoff, but I mean, this all could have been solved in November. But there was a faction that was just bound and determined, and they got the whole public. I mean, they brought in people I've never seen vote in 3rd Ward. And I've been working 3rd Ward since 2003. You know, so, it was just a strange day, and like I said, that's the first time I've ever really been afraid. The sheriff's deputies came in to carry our equipment back because the equipment is so heavy, and nearly every precinct is manned by 3 old ladies. You know, we just can't carry that stuff. The sheriff's deputies did come in early, thank heavens, because one patrolled outside, because the red plaid shirt guy was pacing back and forth outside. He's the one that had been yelling, that Abby heard him yelling. And so the sheriff was trying to protect our cars and make sure nobody came in that shouldn't come in. The other sheriff's deputy was inside with us, waiting until we could try to shut the machines down. Somebody came in at, like 2 minutes to 8 and was unregistered. I mean, that's normal. You deal with it. But after everything else, it was just more than we could handle. And I don't understand what's made the public so angry and confrontational. One of the poll watchers called the auditor's office and complained because I had 4 people standing in line.
Oh.
I mean, and when they are standing in line, I try to make eye contact with anybody that comes in, and I say, I'll be with you as soon as we're done with this. So they've been acknowledged, there's lots of chairs they can sit in. And at the most, it's gonna take them 10 minutes anyway. So it's just, but without the auditor's office, I absolutely could not have done it. So, they deserve,
Thank you, Abby.
they
That's what I'm
deserve
here
stars in their crown, let me tell you.
Well, so do you. And
I kept begging Abby to fire me, but she wouldn't do it.
which, Susie's 150.
It was the craziest election I've ever worked.
And like you said, it wasn't even a full election.
Yeah.
And I agree with
And-
you. Financially, it made no sense not to wait till November.
No. And I know Christie is new, and these were her first elections. And Abby brought her to the precinct with her and was showing her how to do things. So Abby, in addition to trying to put me back together, was trying to get Christie up to snuff. You know, she was doing several jobs, and you
That's
know.
my job.
But it was, you know, you have a real treasure sitting right there.
We know.
Get no argument out of me. On
And you're
most days.
supposed to keep track of all the keys of all the people that have keys.
Yes, add that to the list.
I tend to keep that in.
Yes.
Well, thank you, Carol, for doing that.
Yeah, it
Sorry you
was-
had to put up with all of
It
that.
will be, you know, I just hope that all those people that came in on the last Tuesday, when they come next month, have taken some happy pill.
Well, they're already registered, right?
Most of them. I think I had one leave, cause I filled everything out on the computer, pushed print, it came out blank. And that one got angry at me. I didn't do it, that was the computer, it wasn't me.
You know, Carol, thanks for making these guys aware of it.
Yeah, it was,
You know, Abby's always on top of the elections. We as supervisors need to do a better job of making these people secure.
yeah, there are some things that, because of the situation with Chuck going down that day, I think we need to find some people that would be backups, that are trained to do any of the jobs and can come in on a moment's notice, like
Good idea.
Jennifer Hamill did when she walked through the door. Because you can't do anything with two people. And, you know, if somebody's trained and has worked elections or can be trained to work elections and can be called, I mean, it would have to go through the auditor's office. And I don't know if I even did that with you, I just begged, you know, to
You
get,
did, you called and asked if she could.
you know, but I think we need that backup somewhere. I worked one election, I think that was the first time I was at Third Ward, and that chair kept having mini strokes on me all day. You need hazard pay. But I still consider it a privilege to work for the elections. You learn so much about human nature. Some of it you don't wanna learn. But,
And about computers too.
pardon?
I say, and about computers too.
Yeah, well,
Some of it you don't wanna learn.
yeah,
If everyone knew how much work went into it, they'd be able to be a little kinder.
yeah, it's,
You know, we say that, and you would like to think so.
they don't care,
Yeah, that's,
you know.
yeah.
They came in, they wanna be taken care of, they wanna get out as fast as they can, and you better do what you're supposed to do.
Kind of like a restaurant,
Pardon?
like a restaurant.
Yeah, only on good money food.
And you can withhold the tip at the restaurant, you can't there.
Well,
I always gotta say thank you to those ladies.
It's, I've learned so much working elections, you know, I do think they need to teach civics in high school. Cause people don't understand, they don't even know.
no, you're right. And you know, and I concur completely with you regarding Abby, but I also concur completely with Abby regarding you and all of our poll workers.
Yeah, but
You know,
it's,
I see what you guys go through out here, you know, during the early learning process
yeah.
and stuff.
well, and then Fort Fourth Ward votes here.
Right.
Right.
So, I mean, you have an election day precinct, but you also have all the early voting.
Yeah.
But 4
And-
people in line isn't many.
And like yourself, we've had our folks, we've lost some obviously over the years, but, most recently Ray from Fifth Ward.
Mhm.
But, you know, and they're the familiar faces, the ones you see every time you go into your ward to vote, it's the same faces.
Yeah, you know, there are people that come in and they see the same people sitting there and they see friends, you know, they're people they recognize.
And that should also give the general public, at least for those of us that know them anyway, there's that element of trust. Okay, because we've known you for 100 years,
Mhm.
and, you know, just it goes with the territory. And
And
we don't
don't
wanna-
have time to change.
And I would say this on the record, whatever, we don't want to lose them because of a few bad apples, so whatever we need to do, Susie, you're right, whatever we need to do to remedy that, we need to do. And I mean, I appreciate our deputies stepping in.
And they told me, they said, don't wait so long, call us when you need us. I mean, they came in for a specific purpose of moving equipment,
Right.
but they saw the mess we were in and they said, you should have called.
I have a question about that, like, I don't know, like, would it be legal to have a camera not in the voting booth, but in the room where people are voting, just so if somebody's threatening Carol or one of the workers, then there would be evidence that they had done that, and then there would be a consequence. But
There's
no
a lot of factors to think about with that. Somebody monitoring that all day long, the cost, Wi-Fi isn't necessarily available in every
No.
situation.
And we don't have Wi-Fi there. It's just, you know, you
Honestly,
have to
it's
assume
some-
that we have the knowledge and the help to deal with what we did. I mean, we did deal with it.
The other thing is that while we've used a lot of the same locations for a lot of years, some of those locations have had to change in recently. We went, for example, we lost, Lincoln School
Was in
and
school,
went to the
but you
engineers.
should have
office.
lost it a lot sooner.
Okay, and so, you know, and then the circumstance, for example, of Pence not finding fault, but when they put the elevator in, it changed the entire configuration in the room because it took up a lot of the space in that front foyer that you go into to vote. So that dynamic changes, which makes it a little more difficult. Everybody does a phenomenal job, and if we understood 13 hours of sitting in there. 15. My bad. I can't count that high, I guess. But my point simply is that the old saying, and it was in a song sometime way back too, but walk a mile in my shoes. And maybe having, I don't know, I agree with you.
I always try to send thank you notes to my crew. And yours is in my purse right now. Save the stamp. I always, you know, I want them to know I really appreciate what they're doing and that we're all working together.
I've got a question. Once the deputies showed up, did attitudes and atmosphere change?
We didn't have a lot of people after that, cause it was about 7:45 when they
Oh,
came
okay.
in. But our attitudes changed.
You
Yeah.
breathed it.
Yeah, relieved, yes.
It was, and when Dennis Hamill came in, I mean, just his presence. And I mean, we're at Nazarene Family Center, we have a whole bank of windows, which we really like because, you know, it's a long day to not see anything. However, when we can see out, anyone else can see in.
Right.
You know, and if they're driving by and see 3 old ladies sitting there, you know, that looks like a pretty good place to head.
We even had the question that day. Somebody came in, was all uptight because they'd gone to the church to vote.
Well, and
And it's not like there weren't signs saying, vote here. Just,
there's 2 vote here signs, a sign that says curbside voting,
There
They
was,
point to the door,
there was information on Facebook that was going
The,
around incorrectly.
you know. I don't know if we need to post something at the church and say,
This
go
way.
there, you know.
I mean, it hasn't changed,
But it's been that way forever.
yeah.
But most of those people were dragged in for a specific purpose and had never voted
I was gonna
before.
say, it's not lost on me what you said earlier, that all the years you've been there, a lot of the folks you didn't recognize.
Yeah,
So, doesn't mean new people can't move in, don't misunderstand, but yeah, no, I get it.
I've had crazy situations there. Before computers, I usually ended up helping people fill out the forms because a lot of them just have a hard time with it. And I had a young man come in one morning and he had never voted before. So I dragged him through the thing and he was so excited that he got to vote. And he voted and he was just thrilled, you know. You know, I thought, good, we won one, we've got one now. And so he left. And then in the afternoon, a young woman came in. She had no identification. I mean, nothing. And I said, is there someone that lives in this precinct that can attest that you are who you say you are and you live where you say you live? My boyfriend. Okay. So after a while, I said, well, you're gonna have to bring him here because that's the only way you can vote. So, you know, after some time, here comes the girl and the guy from the morning. Okay, so I'm helping him fill out the forms for attesting. And it gets down to her name. He didn't know her name.
Oops.
Just and you just sort of continue on. Oh, well, that's fairly normal. It's just, I mean, so we do a lot of laughing too.
Gives you a meaning to the.
But
At any rate, you can see that you need to be aware of more
Yes.
stuff like this.
Susie has been out and seen us working. Mainly she came for the food, but.
We really had, it was Darlene Voorhees was alive, so
Oh.
it was really good.
But it's, we run into a lot of crazy instances, but this last one was,
And you knew where to go because the sign said vote here.
she knew, yeah.
Yeah.
But, you know, I thank you for the privilege of working elections, I really enjoy it.
The thanks goes the other way, you know, there's very few people that would go through what all of you go through as far as that part of it is
And
concerned.
somebody said, well, you have to be retired to work elections. No, it's possible to take a day of vacation. We were traveling from Oregon on Amtrak and we met a man from Colorado who told us that he takes off vacation every election day so he can work the election. And I don't know how we would put that idea out there that, you know, now Abby told me we do have one that takes vacation to work every election. But, you know, it would be nice if there were a few people under 70. It just,
Well, I will tell you, and just lastly here, I worked a recount several years back, and what I gleaned from that was the perfection that you all and that she accomplished, because we counted 9,000 votes by hand 3 times, and there was absolutely 0 hiccups. The only 2 changes came from what was called an identifier that was placed on a ballot, which is not legal. So the vote couldn't be counted. There was no dispute as to who the vote was for. It's irrelevant to this conversation. But it couldn't be counted because there was an identifier. In this case, it was a little mailing label, gave the person's name and address. The other one was that the voters darkened in both circles.
that's an
And
overvote.
it came out as an overvote. So the machines saw everything the way that it was supposed to see it. The identifier wasn't kicked out because the machine doesn't see the identifier. So those were the only two changes, counting them 3 times by hand. And this is a testament to the workers are doing everything right with the equipment and to Abby and well, to all the folks in the auditor's office.
The scanners are a godsend. The scanners are just, you know, cause we were going through, I mean, we had 176 votes or something like that, which is nothing, really. But if you have to go through that, at least this time there weren't write-ins.
Right.
Because the write-ins you have to, they are listed on the tape that comes out of the machine, but you still have to,
Look at the name.
and tally all that to turn it in. And then there's always the person, I don't know why, that writes his or her own name in for every office.
Yeah, Mickey Mouse gets around.
Yeah, Mickey Mouse, but,
So-
you know,
Do we need to, we got a city election coming up in November, right?
Mhm.
Do we need to discuss some things about changes and stuff for election day, or?
We have city and county elections.
Well, what I would say to
School
that
board would be county.
is
We
for
need-
her to make that decision. And whatever we need to have on the agenda, if you think there's something that needs to be there.
well, this crazy election was just one precinct,
I
so
know.
you don't have a broad view of what the city election's going to be.
Yeah.
And did this nastiness, has it permeated to the other places?
Of course, it'll be a countywide because of the school bond.
Yeah.
School.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
right,
that's
yes.
right. And we're hoping the school board.
Yeah, yeah.
I predict that we will have another,
Another runoff, yeah, I'm figuring I'll work a December election too. September, October, November.
so when Aggie thought she was having it easy this year, she might have been a little wrong.
It could be, yeah.
The city school, while not as busy as a general, has its own complications. There are 31 ballot styles for this election.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Wow.
Okay, so we need to move on. Most, I haven't seen, but a motion to allow claims and approved reports.
That's Joe's job.
Is it? Okay.
I'm sorry, I
I'm
didn't
sorry,
pass
what?
that over. Do you have any comments?
Oh,
You're not on the screen, so don't
No,
worry.
I didn't know if this was a time where you wanted any information from me, or
You
if anybody
can.
if you have any questions or
we talked,
concerns, I'd be happy to.
we talked Friday morning, about the, party. Yeah, come on,
Okay, sure. So, yeah, I'm a resident. I live on Dowds Road. I'm one of the last 2 houses in the county. I can see the county line sign from my driveway. But I came in and talked with Lee Friday morning as the I believe it's the Symmetry Music Festival was underway. Just to see what tools, what options, what help is available from county to help mitigate the noise issue that we're experiencing. It's been an issue since these events started out at this property. It's on Eastwood Avenue. Initially, we kind of approached it that trying to just tolerate it, and maybe it's a one-off event. It's not. It happens at least a couple of times a year. It's grown and gotten larger and louder. The type of music they have at this is it's electronic music, and it's very, very bass heavy, and that bass just cuts through everything. They generally start around noon or a little before, and it's nonstop. There's not breaks. It's nonstop until 5 or 6 a.m. the next morning. So it's all night long. This past weekend, it was Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night. If you look on the map where Eastwood Avenue is versus where our house is, it's pretty much straight west, cross country from us. But the sound must travel pretty well through there. I can hear it. We can hear it in the base primarily. We can hear it in our house, windows closed, air conditioner running, TV on. My daughter and son-in-law and their family are neighbors to us, where their house kind of sits on a hill. It's actually worse for them. It has rattled the windows in the house. They have 3 young kids. They can't get the kids to sleep because of it. You can't get to sleep. I woke up around midnight Saturday night when it was just really kicking in, and you know, we've tried, you know, called the sheriff's office, asked to have deputies come out and ask them to turn things down. Hasn't done any good. I've spoken with Bart a couple of times about this. In fact, I talked to him Friday afternoon after we spoke, and he was going to call the director of this festival and see if he could do some good to get him to tone it down that way. My daughter has communicated with them on Facebook Messenger, you know, relaying what the issue is. Last year they put a note, handwritten note, in our mailboxes. I can show you, I've got a picture if you want, but it's basically, the gist of it was, if you don't want to put up with the noise or bothered by it, you know, we'll buy you a hotel room in town. Which to me, I don't think it's right at all that we should be expected to leave our homes for a nuisance somebody else is creating. But my daughter reached out Thursday night when it was loud, and the reply was, they're very polite about it, but the reply was, oh, we've got 2,000 people here, I can't do anything about it. I called and talked to the same individual on the phone Friday afternoon. Again, offered the hotel. I gave him my opinion on that. I just said, I'm just asking for some consideration to be a good neighbor here for those of us that live here, and turn it down. And I had the same response that, you know, we've got 2,000 people here. I can't do anything about the agenda or the schedule we've got. I said, well, you can control the volume. He said, I'll pass that on. It didn't do any good. So we've kind of tried to do everything before coming to this point. Got nothing against their festival or whatever they want to do there, but when it's impacting our ability to live in our own home, I think that's a little ridiculous. So I'm hoping for some help, and I know county doesn't have a noise ordinance, correct?
No.
I understand hurdles with getting something like that passed, and you know, the broad spectrum that could potentially cover, or issues that could create, and you mentioned a permitting process. My 2 cents worth on that is, as long as it's got some teeth to it, you know, something to regulate the volume or you know, low frequency sound volumes and hours of operation, or whatever you want to call it that way, to help mitigate this. And if it's not followed, I mean, and be willing to not issue a permit or have some ramifications beyond this, you know.
And I don't know, that's why I thought about a permit process, was simply because it's a little bit less convoluted than an ordinance. Yes.
We can take a look at that and try and find something, either to present it during your public comment next week, or we'll try and put something together for you.
The reason I asked
to
you
discuss.
too was because you were down there, so any observations that you might have had, well, you weren't, but that your crew might have at that cemetery.
I haven't had a chance to really get much information from them or any feedback from them.
Because I understand that it's
Other than the fact they probably can't hear today.
Yeah, we had a similar situation of this, 4 or 5 days. This was in Cedar Township, but it went 24/7. There was no break between like 4 a.m. and noon. And, I don't know if you remember hearing it, Susie. I mean, you could hear it from everywhere. And it ended up having to be a private resident who, John Reeves, I believe he's still around, and I would talk to him, but somehow he got it shut down or moved or something like that. But you could hear it in a huge radius. And I'm thinking this was back in probably 94, 95, somewhere around there. And I think he still lives there in Cedar Township, but he was concerned because less so for the noise and more so for the illegal substance activity that was obviously going on, so,
I
anyways.
think that's a reasonable assumption for this one as well, but. Yeah.
I mean, John could be a resource, and I'm sure he'd be happy to help, because he ended up spending a lot of his money in all kinds of stuff, but somehow he got it shut down.
We'll
In
find,
that location, I
we'll
think he
find
moved
some
somewhere
stuff
else.
for you, cause
Okay.
it's been dealt with during my history in many different counties. I remember specifically remember back when they had the one at Wadena, Iowa, and they were expecting 50,000 people at that. But definitely there's issues of public health, public nuisance, all those issues can be addressed.
Did they repeal the social host ordinance?
I asked when I was on the phone with him, who legally owns this festival or this event? Who's legally responsible for it? And they said it's the Symmetry Music Festival LLC. He said there were a handful of people there, but he said they leased the property from an individual for the event. So it sounds like their lease is looks like about a 20-acre parcel for this event, and so it's not someone who lives there. There are people from all over coming in. I don't know numbers. He was throwing out 2,000 when I was on the phone with him. We live on the hard surface, so I can imagine living on the gravel, what the traffic and especially as dusty as it is now, just the traffic, the noise that way, plus the dust and wear and tear and what have you.
West off of Dodge Road on 270th.
Yes.
And then south.
And it's the first gravel road that goes south, and it turns to dirt, and right when it turns to dirt is where this property is.
Yeah, I've gone back in there, after the first year, Steve Wimmy and I went back in there. And there's a 2-story home back down in there, and a mobile home, and a dog that was very pleasant.
He wasn't hungry.
Evidently not. So it will be, well, Ed will
We'll get you some
work
stuff.
on something, and then we'll go from there, but,
There's a remedy.
yeah.
I appreciate it, and again, I'm not attacking anybody that's putting on the event or any of that. I'm just trying to get the remedy for myself, my family, or our neighborhood. It's
I did hear
common
from-
consensus. I don't know how many you heard from, but
He lives right down there too.
yeah, he lives south of me and just west a little bit.
Yeah, he's actually technically in Van Buren County, but I don't hold
He
that
said he's
against
heard
him.
from a lot of neighbors on west from him
Yeah.
about it, so.
Oh, okay. I'll look into that. There is a possibility also, or maybe Ed can look into it for us. We used to have a social host ordinance,
Okay, I'm not
but
familiar with that.
we don't, it doesn't exist anymore, but Shannon thinks maybe it's statewide now.
Okay.
And that pertains to underage drinking and drug use and so on and so forth, and so I wouldn't be shocked to find out that some of that occurs during this festival, but I don't know that.
I would encourage you to Google this. They've got a website out there, and you can see the information on it. It doesn't really give you contact information for the people putting it
You
on.
have that though,
but
right?
I do have a contact.
He does have a contact.
There's a lot of information. You get a good idea for what this is and the scope of it, and
Yeah, I'm with you. First off, I wouldn't go. I don't like the music. Secondly, like I told you the other day when we talked, I don't like it because they can fire off fireworks from March to July now. So that's a little bit of an exaggeration, but anyway. Anything else? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve, allow claims and approve reports in the amount of $67,439.96.
So moved.
Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I think I already signed it somewhere. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Susie,
Yes, or what?
don't forget your cleats. I don't want you to slip and fall when you're here.
Well, that's a wrap from right here at the outside the Jefferson County Courthouse, where we were inside for the Jefferson County Board of Supervisors meeting. A lot going on every week. I encourage you folks to come here in person, fill their room with people, and get involved in your county. Thank you for watching. Thanks to all the people that are on this podcast today. And thank you to my sponsors, Griner Auto Body, Car Doctor, McDonald Boneyard, Your Choice Family Restaurant, Girling Repair, B&B Propane, and the family of Jet Stops, CW Tree Trimming, LLC, Dutch Market, and Coffee Talk. I'm your host, John Bain. Stay friendly, Southeast Iowa.